Hello, this is Kelly Allen. I'm going to spend a few minutes just comparing and contrasting spousal visas versus fiancé visas. And this situation comes up a lot in my immigration practice of a U.S. citizen will come in for a consultation and he or she has a fiance who is outside of the US and wanting to know which is best to start a fiance visa petition to bring the foreign national to the US so that they can get married, or whether he or she should go to the fiance's country, get married there, and then file a spousal visa petition. So there really is no right or wrong answer to that. There are pros and cons to each approach, and it really just depends on what your priorities are. If you are looking for the overall quickest, most cost-effective process, then potentially that is the spousal visa process, because it's going to take, at this point, it usually takes about a year and a half from the time that we file the first petition until the spouse could reasonably be in the U.S. The good thing is it's a two-step process, and when the spouse enters the U.S., he or she becomes a permanent resident that day, and the passport is stamped, and the person is legally allowed to go ahead and start working because he or she is a permanent resident. The bad thing about the spousal visa petition, a couple of things, is one, the U.S. citizen has to travel to the foreign country, make arrangements to get married there. So if he or she was already planning on a trip over there, that may not be a big deal. If it's going to take a few months before the U.S. citizen can, have the funds or arrange to get off work, then that's potentially going to cause a serious delay in getting started in that spousal visa process, because we can't file the first petition until you're legally married and we have that marriage certificate. The other downside is for that estimated 18 months or so processing time, the spouse is still outside of the U.S. So a lot of people don't want to be separated for that period of time. So, but if you are looking for the quickest way to physically get your fiance to the U.S., you don't care how long the process ultimately takes, and you don't care if it ultimately costs more. You just want a lot of that waiting time to happen with the person here in the United States and with you. So if that's your priority, then you want to seriously look at a fiancé visa petition, because it's a three-step process, but by the time you're filing the third step of the process, your fiancé is here. So for the fiancé visa, the first two steps are filed, then your fiance enters the U.S., and then you get married within 90 days. One real downside is your fiance is not eligible to work, and your fiance is not eligible to travel outside of the U.S. You have to get married, file for your permanent residency, and then that could potentially take another year or better before your now spouse actually receives their green card. They can get temporary employment authorization, but even that is going to take about 4 months after we file the adjustment of status paperwork. So because it is a three-step process, it is more expensive than the spousal visa process, both in attorney fees and in government application fees. And ultimately, it takes a lot longer for your significant other to actually become a permanent resident. So pros and cons both directions. It really just depends on what's most important to you.